Proteins, fats and carbs. When I posted a question in the Facebook group the other day asking about what people are unsure about or struggling with or need a bit of direction on food-wise, one of the things that was brought up was particularly protein and a question as to what protein recommendation actually looks like in real life. If it says to have 80 grams of protein, does that mean eating 80 grams of chicken, for example? Before I go into the specifics of that, again, longer term members will remember we used to talk much more about protein than we do now. And that doesn't mean that, again, it's not a consideration, but again, I've come to the realization for the vast majority of our members, just getting in that deficit and not overcomplicating it is key. It may be by increasing their protein intake. That is part of a method of getting there for a couple of reasons. Firstly, protein is usually more filling. So if we have a more protein heavy meal, chances are we're going to consume less calories overall. And there is a slightly higher what's called thermic effect of food with protein. So the body uses more energy in breaking down the same amount of protein as it does the same amount of carbs and fat. It's a degree of a win, not a massive one, but it would mean that if we had a considerably higher protein diet than we had before and the exact number of calories were equal, we'd actually be a number of calories up on the deal. But again, the key is to get in that deficit. In terms of what that actually looks like, it's quite an easy ratio to remember in that fat is twice as energy dense as protein and carbs. There are 4 calories per gram of protein, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, and about 9 calories per gram of fat. So if we're looking for a mixture of energy from the three, it's about a third of our energy from each, we're looking at a 2-to-1 ratio, essentially 2 grams of protein to 2 grams of carbs to 1 gram of fat. Really, that's just the direction to go in. It's nothing to get too hung up on, but if we, from our tracking, realise actually that nowhere near a third of our energy comes from each of those macronutrients, we may find it easier to eat in a calorie deficit, and we may find it benefits our body and our health by getting a little bit closer to that. In terms, again, of what that looks like in terms of actual volume of whatever it may be, the easiest way is just to check the label. So if we're looking at 80 grams of protein, things like chicken, lean chicken, tuna are normally around about 25 grams of protein per 100 grams. So 300 odd grams would get us that 80 grams of protein. But again, easiest way is just to look on the label. No food is 100% one macronutrient. Some fats are nearly, but ultimately the easiest way, look on the label, find out the amount of that protein, carb or fat per 100 grams, and if we're looking for that level of kind of precision, have an amount of that food stuff that will then help us get that amount of protein, fats and carbs.